The video today, I wanted to cover what is this prevailing sentiment around feeling good, feeling okay, being okay with who you are, or if you're completely polarized to this position, it's nothing's ever okay and I need to be in the pushing always to strive mindset. We can think of this as basically this either self-love or self-loathing. You commit to one of these ideas, these positions, and then you try to manifest the result. And so on one end of this scale is a lot of these videos and you can say memes or Facebook posts or Reddit threads where there's an idea of acceptance, that everyone is looking to be accepted for who they are, as in the baseline level of your character, of your being, is that it's sufficient. You can be content. That there is no need to work on who you are, that there's a natural process of just accepting who you are and that it's fine. You don't need to have an idea or ambition or strive for anything, because all of that gets in the way of this pleasant, peaceable attitude where niceties reign supreme and everyone is just having quite a good time. And so on the end of this spectrum, you do have a lot of, these are just an excerpt of videos, but you have sentiment like this Ken character from a Barbie movie saying, "I'm Kenuff." You can have a lot of leftover and residual stoicism, a philosophy that's entrenched in this idea that things happen to you and your best attitude towards it is just acceptance, and that not being able to change some things mean you should just be okay with them. And this is a very self-defeating philosophy, and I think it's not in line with the Faustian spirit. And then there's also this self-love, and you can see the pathway here to and from someone like Jordan Peterson, where he deals a lot with this question. Now, I am not advocating for Peterson because I think he has completely spiraled into his own mind. But in general, you can see how this alienation of who you are has resulted in a school of thought, or at least a propositional praxis of you are fine as you are, and that we can accept that, and that you can be a nobody and no one should mind. And on the opposite spectrum, as I said, of this, if you cross the gamut to you never find, you should fuel everything and all your choices with this hate of who you are so that you can become the demonstrably better version of yourself through some conquering of an empire. It's all material nonsense. And you have, they flippantly, I think, call it the Sigma grind set or some derivation of this, when you have these hucksters like Tony Robbins or Andrew Tate, where they're promising you some masculine thing via your own energy. It's to say you can grasp life, and they'll talk to you in these energetic and, at least hopefully, seemingly profound ways about how you can harness your natural attributes and be a success, and that all that's in life waiting for you is just you to turn on this action button and you'll dominate, and you'll be able to sleep with all these beautiful women and have all these Ferraris, or you'll have the life that you want. It's this promise, this dangling of this carrot of once you're at this material plane, then you've made it, and then everything thereafter is inconsequential to the rest of your existence or something. I will just preface any further discussion here on this quote via our old favourite Spengler. He says, "There is a Nordic world feeling, reaching from England to Japan, which is full of joy just because of the burden of human destiny. One challenges it for the sake of conquering it, and one goes under proudly should it prove stronger than one's own will." This is the only and sole kernel of truth you need to be able to uncover here in between these two hyper realities. You have to first put yourself in the position of the why you're feeling like you are. And that's because life is the Nietzschean suffering. It is this position of your soul and your spirit into this body, into this time. And in that, you'll feel a struggle against all the exogenous forces to that. That is very natural in the way that an organism is born, grows, and decays. That's how life, that's how everything works. So naturally, you have this oxidization effect of life upon you and your spirit. But we still fight because that's what it is and who we are. The idea that you would just surrender to something as pathetic and obsequious as, yes, everything's okay. This guy online told me that it's fine to just be depressed or be who I am. I don't need to fight that anymore. Or on the other hand, it's, I'm still not struggling enough. I've only worked 20 hours today, 4 hours of sleep, and then gone and got back at it at 6 a.m. I need to work harder and work more because this material manifestation of my happiness in corporeal form is there. I can taste it. It's just not true. You don't want to also slink into something like hedonism or this pursuit of happiness. This is a very Hollywood terminology of something that doesn't exist. You will never be happy as a continual state of being, and it's not worth pursuing even if it was real. It's a vestige of this Christian aspect of heaven, whereby you consider this transcendental plane of everything is nice all the time and there's no worries. But stress and worries are very, very fundamental to both existence and enjoying life from that aspect. You can be happy. It's not to say that you can't. It's to say you won't have this perpetual happiness. You can't be in a state of always happy. Sense why there's drug usage and all these things for the people who like the feelings without having to address the opposition of those feelings, to say you have an oscillation effect between certain mind states, and this is a necessary contrast to feel the feelings you want to feel. You can't just have a good button you keep pressing. This is a child's conceptualization of their own reality. So this is to say, there are lots of things you can do, but what I would advocate for strongly is trying to find out your archetype. Jungian archetypes are, I would say, and consider one of the best starting points. It's not necessarily comprehensive, and it's not the exclusive and mutually exhaustive list of things that you will, but in general, you can think of yourselves probably as fitting into one or maybe at most two of these categories. So living into who you are from an archetypal sense actually gives you quite a lot of direction. To say, actually, you know what, I am quite a caregiver. Maybe I should pursue a vocation or a lifestyle which enhances my ability to give care in that way. I'm a service-orientated person. Now, yeah, maybe you won't be this business magnate doing that, but maybe you will. Maybe you can start a business which provides care for many, many thousands of people, and in which case you actually will earn a living, and you can still have this material benefit from being what you would say a conqueror in the ego caregiver space. But that's on you. That's something you need to realize about yourself. So the advice that you get from the internet, particularly on YouTube videos and self-help books in general, blogs, things like this, is very general. It's always general advice, but it's not helpful to you specifically. It's helpful on a population curve because then we can still bucket all of these people across a population distribution. But you, the person watching this video specifically, needs to understand and conceptualize who you are. Put yourself into one of these categories. Find your own typology of being. And this, if you're Faustian, because I can't speak to anyone who's not, is just a aspect here of the knight or the Viking in a lot of ways. It's this internal pursuit of power or its treasure, and how exactly that comes about. We're not thinking treasure here materialistically in terms of a yacht and a Lamborghini and things like this, even though they can make up part of it. It's this desire, this inner yearning and soulfulness towards a Viking's pursuit in the adventure and the hero's saga around the obtaining of the treasure. It's why Beowulf went through the adventures. Yes, there's treasure at the end, and that's what he was seeking, but it wasn't because he's a materialist, and that was the basis of his character was, I need 1,000 Ferraris and 1,000 beautiful women. That is a very, and I would say atavistic, but it's just a very poor and Marxist way of considering the world and the globe, and it should be something that you are disgusted by. So it's this noble pursuit of a goal rather than this debased proletarian version of it. It's this is the cliche, but it's the journey. How the journey is done is just as important as the result, as the outcome, as the destination phase. So once you can maintain this level of nobility, I think you'll realize that there is a metaphysical bankruptcy, or at least a disdain from most of these people trying to give you advice. Now, Jordan Peterson actually probably has some of the best grounding in metaphysics from a populist advice giver. His problem is he spiraled into his own insanity, and there's this maelstrom effect of every single system in the world trying to be incorporated into this inchoate system that he can't focus and he can't actually discern the meaning from. It's the impossibility of delineation of meaning for Jordan Peterson. But otherwise, I think he gets a lot of these points right, because This may surprise you. He stole, or at least is inspired by most of the things from Jung and Nietzsche. And so if you hear something profound from him and his gravitas, it's probably just borrowed, if not in a verbatim way, then at least spiritually from them. But so when he is bloviating, you can probably start to decipher which parts are sensible and which parts are nonsensible. And you would then say, okay, so if I do have this inner soul, which points me in a compass direction, and that I have this aspect hovering over me of pulling me towards either the treasure or the virtue, then, okay, how is it exactly I can get there? What is it? And this is the first step on your destiny, is to say, what is the highest heights I can reach if I pursue this goal? How is it that I can build my life towards this? It doesn't mean you sit there and you smoke cigarettes on a porch and just suffer through. And it doesn't mean you go out every single waking hour having to hammer on doors and ask people for money, being a swindler. Because human destiny is not trying to swindle your fellow man out and make loads of money by selling courses, offering an online university or some form of business which extracts value in a rent-seeking or parasitical way. Real, and this is sincere advice to the soul, it's the person speaking to their mentor, it's the sage guardian wizard offering the protege his own view of the morphological form that he needs to take. This is the sincerity that you need in terms of some advice. And that can only really be brought about via yourself, unless you have and you are blessed by someone in your life who has seen beyond the veil. They've successfully gone under their journey, or at least they're further along the journey than you are, and they can look back and harken back to where they were and give you some better advice that way. But if they're not Faustian, or they don't understand that metaphysical Faustian drive, their will to power, then they can't actually give you any relevant advice anyway. What they're saying is just bromides, or it's tergiversating. It's trying to put together words in a way that you feel good about, rather than telling you harsh truths and realities about how your life needs to be lived for the betterment of who you are, your soul and your spirit. So I don't want to sit here and say that there's no need for relaxation, or that your mental health is unimportant, and that despair and depression are something that you should try to forget about and not deal with. It's that there are actions to take in all situations, and sometimes it is relaxing, sometimes it is rest. A knight will train and then relax, because the preparation is for the inevitable battle. That's the idea here, is that there are times and places for everything, and that the balance required to attune you, to put you into the Spenglerian form, the form of the athlete as they go to the pinnacle of their athletic heights at the Olympics or something. This is how you should train about your life, is to put you in the form to be able to deal with the things you need to do to get to where you want to go. Now, in that, we don't want what is this largesse, luxurious relaxation of almost hedonistic, or at least you could say the biblical version of being a glutton. You don't just sit there and absorb all of these things because it's convenient and easy. This is just a slippery slope to hedonism in any case. It's just indulging who your grossest vices are. And then you don't have to go too far the other way and be an ascetic and sit there depriving yourself of enjoyment just because you think it makes you a better person. This artificial struggle doesn't make you a stronger and better man or woman. It's the balance and understanding what's needed when it's needed, and being prepared, and not just hoping for some extemporaneous success because that's who you think you are. It is possible, but at the same time, you have to understand what amor fati is. It's not that you just accept what happens. It's that you have to embrace the position that you're in to then strive towards this destiny.